All right, let's get into some of this from yesterday. I am going to post a link today at the Harumph Society, my 3 times a week newsletter. I'm going to post a link to this entire 30 minutes from Brett Baier last night. I commend this entire interview to you. It's not often that I get excited about a member of the media's journalism, and I must confess that the Fox News people and Brett Baier did some of the most exceptional work, some of the most important work. And again, I don't know if the White House decided it was time to roll out some of the faces behind Doge, or if Brett and the team at Fox asked, but it was a masterstroke. Because the optics here are striking. As I sit here on a Friday, what is this, the 28th day of March, what is the left doing right now? How are they behaving? They're out screaming and swearing and lighting Teslas on fire and making fun of guys in wheelchairs, trying to look tough, among other things. They're screaming and yelling about a successful strike on enemy Houthis, trying desperately to distract you. They're just making noise. They're offering nothing by way of solutions. Juxtapose that at the same hour with 8 professionals sitting in a room calmly explaining how they're trying to save the government, save our country, save our republic, really, from utter financial collapse. 8 calm guys explaining how they're trying to fix antiquated, broken $36 trillion deficit systems. And then the screaming lunatics who say change nothing. And by the way, let's light some things on fire and swear for good measure. So with that, there are a ton of places we could go. Let's just start from the top in 1243. Brett Baier and the team from Doge. Here's some of it.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
You technically are a special government.
These are, and again, I don't mean to cut these off, but for time, I want to move on to some other things because it's also important. You get the flavor of it. $1 billion for a national park survey that Elon Musk says you can do on SurveyMonkey, basically an app for $10,000. The government blew $1 billion to ask people whether they like their national park experience or not. It's an outrage. But, it's a ho-hum to Democrats. They'd rather light Teslas on fire. All right, Airbnb's co-founder is part of this team. In 1245, he talks about the antiquated nature of the systems being used here.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I loved the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as he dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So the process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized, or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight. So we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience, beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Boy, those sound like terrible guys. Ed, doesn't he sound like a monster who hates people that work for the government? What a monster he sounded like. A wild-eyed evil monster, that guy.
Yeah, I mean, imagine digitizing pallets of just one person's personal history that's kept
Did
in
you hear
a
what
mine.
he just said? Making the civil servant's experience in retirement easier and faster and more efficient. Not attacking civil servants, saying we want to make your retirement experience faster. We want to process more people.
No, like take a folder full of stuff and make it into a digital document to say, oh, do you need this? Do you need to access this record? Here, I can just email it to you in 5 minutes.
It's so. Anyone who fights for a system from the 50s, pallets of paper in the cave, if you're on the side of fighting for that, you're on the wrong side. I don't know what world you live in. I don't know what your motivations are, but it's weird. Here's an engineer from Doge in 1246.
I'll say the two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protect them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. There's this happening all day, every day, and then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
There are tens of millions of what do you want to call them? People that are dead who have Social Security numbers assigned to them that are still in the system. This was one of the things that came out of this interview yesterday. Tens of millions of Social Security numbers still effectively in use. And fraudsters, you heard the man, almost half of the calls the Social Security Administration gets are people trying to suck money, your money, out of a system that you're waiting on, that you either collect or you're hoping to collect in retirement. Fraudsters, 40% of the calls using fraudulent Social Security numbers that should no longer be in effect because we have an antiquated system that can't verify whose Social Security numbers are whose. Tens of millions of Social Security numbers still in the system that should not be, and people calling up to 40% of calls every day saying, I'm Social Security number 385782, and just taking money out of the system. Theft. Straight up theft. Aren't these monsters? What a bunch of horrible people these guys are. They must be stopped at once. Let's go light a Tesla on fire. 1247. Take a listen.
And you've heard a lot of news about rifts, about people getting fired. At this moment in time, less than 0.15, not 1.5, less than 0.15 of the federal workforce has actually been given a RIF notice.
So they're selected if they're illegal.
Yeah.
It is
basically almost no one's gotten fired. That's what we're saying.
You know what the guy who they sent over to Treasury, he's also part of this group. And again, I don't have time to play the entire half hour. I mean, if I could, I don't think the Fox News people would appreciate me just playing the entire half hour of Brett's interview. You can watch it. And again, I am going to link it in the Harump Society. One of the most remarkable moments was a member of this team who is looking over the books at Treasury. He said there are over 500 agencies. And I want you to think about this, and he really explained it in a way that everybody could understand. There are over 500 agencies that are all drawing from the very same bank account at Treasury. Fast Eddie, can you get your mind wrapped around that? Over 500 different agencies all drawing from the same fund at Treasury for expenditures and reimbursements. And get this, it's without question. It's just, okay, Department XYZ wants money, and out the door it goes. This guy says there's over 500 agencies basically drawing on the same bank account with absolutely no oversight. None.
I just can't get my head wrapped around that there are 500 agencies. I didn't even stop to think for a second just how many freaking organizations, agencies, whatever there are that we're talking about here.
And here's how he explained this, just to really drive this home for you. You have a bank account, right? You and your wife do, or do you keep separate ones? Whatever. Okay. There are over 4 million credit cards out there tied to the federal government. There are only 2 million that should have them. There are double the amount of credit cards, people holding government charge cards, than there are people that were issued them, the physical people that should have them. So basically, 2 charge cards for every 1 person that should have them in the federal government. And the way he explained this, sorry, I got a little off track there in explaining that stat. This is stunning. Those 500 plus agencies that are drawing from that same account, he said, this is like you got your family bank account you pay your bills out of, and then you give a checkbook and debit card access to your parents, to your in-laws, to your kids, to your neighbors, all your extended family and friends. Just an open line to draw from your bank account. Basically, everyone in your sphere. That's what the federal government is doing with some 500 different agencies without question. Aren't these people monsters for looking into this and trying to fix it for you and me? What monsters they are. Let's burn a Tesla. If you didn't see this interview, go see it. Watch it. Watch every bit of it. And then pay close attention to the Democrats and their lunatic behavior. Lighting things on fire and screaming and swearing. These men, and that's just some of them, these 8, were calmly explaining how they're literally trying to save the republic from insolvency. How they're literally trying to save you and me from being ripped off blind. 16% savings in your money and mine going out the door. It's an epic achievement if they can get it done. Big if, but if they can. And the Democrats' response is to light things on fire and scream and swear. You getting the drift? This is the Stigall Show.
The Chris Stigall Show podcast.